I want to tell you a story about a client of mine. Let's call him David. And this happened just last month, and it's a situation that almost every single one of you will face. You know, Dave came to me on a Friday afternoon. I remember he was super excited. He was buzzing. You know, he had been on the job market for a couple months. And if you've been there, you know how that feels, right? You get rejection, silence, the stress on your marriage, and really the drain on your savings. It's brutal. But finally, he broke through. He landed the final interview for a VP of sales role at a mid-sized software company. They called him up. They offered him the job. Hey, the base salary was like $210, had benefits. David calls me and said, "Tim, I got it. $210. They sent the letter. I'm going to sign it tonight and send it back." He's like, "I'm done." And I had to be the bad guy. I literally had to yell to the phone. I was like, "Yo, don't sign this yet." And he got quiet. He got scared. He said, "Tim, I've been out of work for 5 months. I have a mortgage. I'm just so grateful that I have any offer. I don't want to rock the boat. What if they get mad? What if they rescind it?" So follow me. This right here is called the gratitude trap. David was so relieved to be chosen, he forgot he's an asset. He was operating out of fear and not strategy. If he would have signed that letter that night, he would have made a mistake that would have cost him, and this is real math, are you ready? $120K over the next 36 months. So today I'm going to show you exactly why you're scared to negotiate, why that fear is completely unfounded, and the exact 3-minute quick little email script that gets you paid what you're worth. So let's get started. Now, first we need to deconstruct your fear. Why are you afraid to ask for more? Because you think they hold all the cards. You feel like a contestant on a game show just happy to win a prize. You think, man, if I ask for 20K more, they're gonna rip the offer up and give it to the next guy. Let me take you behind the curtain of the company. Remember, I used to be a headhunter, okay? I sat on the other side of the table many times. By the time they send you an offer letter, do you know what they have gone through? Man, they've likely paid an external person like me $50K to find you, or they've reviewed hundreds of resumes, hiring rounds. They've suffered through 20 bad interviews with people who lied on their resume, right? They've argued internally for weeks about who to hire. They have all of these problems. They have a hole in their org chart that's costing them a lot of money every single day. That seat's empty, right? Then they finally found you. You are the solution to their headache. They are emotionally invested in you now. They have told their team, "We found the guy or girl," and they're exhausted. They're not gonna pull an offer just because you professionally asked for market value, right? That's a myth. The only way they pull an offer is if you're a jerk, if you're arrogant, if you're giving an ultimatum. But if you're a professional, never. So here's the reality. The moment you have the offer in your inbox, you now have leverage. They want you to say yes. They want this to be over, but the second you sign that paper, that leverage is gone forever. You're never gonna have more power than you do right now. So pay attention closely. But hey, before I give you the exact script we use, we need to talk about what you're actually negotiating. You know, David was so fixated on his base salary. You know, we were talking about getting him 230K, they offered him 210. He thought, if they say no to the base, man, I'm gonna be stuck. So follow me. Base salary is just one lever on a huge dashboard. If they said we can't budge on the 210K base because of internal salary bands, most people fold. Don't do that. If the front door is locked, we check the windows. So, number 2, sign-on bonus. This is the easiest money to get. It's a one-time expense for them. It doesn't mess up their payroll structure. We could ask for 20K to offset, X something. Another way is equity or stock. This is where people actually build wealth. Can you get more options, RSUs? Can you get a faster vesting schedule? Last, severance. This is critical. In this volatile economy, you should negotiate a 6-month severance package. It's your safety net if you're an executive at the company. Pay time off. Hey, can you get 5 weeks instead of 3? The review cycle. Hey, if we start at 210, can we write in the contract that we will review salary based on performance in 6 months? You need to look at the total compensation package. Don't leave money on the table just because one door is closed. There's 5 or 6 other doors. Okay. So how do you actually do this now, right? How do you ask for more money or more of X without sounding greedy or ungrateful? We use what we call the sandwich method. So the top bun. You start by telling them you love the organization, right? I love the meat, right? You present cold, hard facts, not feelings, facts. You solve their problem. Here's exactly what I told David to write in his email so you can copy and paste this. Hey, dear hiring manager, I was excited to receive the offer. I met with the team. I love the vision, and I'm 100% convinced I can help ABC Company hit those Q4 sales targets. I'm ready to jump in. However, after reviewing the offer and doing some due diligence on the current market for a role with scope of ABC, I'm seeing that the market rate for this role is typically closer to X. If we can bridge that gap to, in this instance, $235K, I'd be ready to sign this offer immediately. Let me know if we can get there. I'm excited to get this started. Now, notice the psychology here. I anchored to data. The market says this. It's objective. It removes the emotion. I give them a carrot. If we can do this number, hey, I'm ready to move forward today. This is music to a lot of hiring managers' ears, right? They want certainty. You're telling them, pay me this and your headache can go away instantly. So what happened with David? While he was sweating bullets, right, he sent the email at 2 o'clock on a Friday, paced around his kitchen for a couple hours. Hey, at 4:30, the reply came back. They said, David, thanks for the note. We can't get to 235 on the base because of internal caps. However, we can move the base to 225 and we'll add a $15K signing bonus to bridge the gap. Let's do the math on that email. Base went up $15K plus a $15K check on day one. That's 30 grand of real cash we created out of thin air in the next 12 months. But it gets better, right? The $15K base increases, it compounds. Next year, his raise of 5% is calculated. Now it's gonna be more. Over the next 4 years, based on that though, that one email is probably gonna be worth 100 grand. If he had just been grateful, he would have effectively paid that company 100K for the privilege of working there. Here's the lesson. Negotiation isn't always just about money. It's a leadership test. If you can't advocate for yourself, how you can solve problems, how can they trust you to advocate for their department? How can they trust you to negotiate with the vendor? When you negotiate firmly, professionally, and with data, their respect for you actually goes up. Most executives are terrible at negotiation for themselves because it's personal and it's like emotional. That's why you need a third party in your corner. If you want to know if you're being underpaid or if you want my team to script your negotiation strategy so you don't have to leave a six-figure on the table, right, over 36 months, click the link somewhere below and let's get you paid what you're worth.